You wanted to hear about Andrew's philosophy against feminism. Maybe that goes into like Force Doctrine stuff.
Oh yeah, I wanted to hear about that in particular.
Oh no,
I'm just
not
like
feminism.
I'm infected with the woke virus, so I need to be enlightened.
With the woke virus.
You're not going to like it.
I need to be enlightened, Andrew. Please help me out.
Yeah, so, well, let's just start with, can I tell you what I think feminism is?
Can you tell me about Force Doctrine first? Or would you...
Well, I think I need to
let's do
caveat.
feminism first.
I think I need to caveat it with what I think feminism is.
Okay.
I think feminism is an egalitarian movement which is designed to dismantle patriarchy. That's what I think feminism
so like
is.
equal rights kind of thing?
No,
'Cause I would call
egalitarian would match the equal rights, but you're missing the dismantling patriarchy aspect. I think that feminism has a stated goal of dismantling patriarchal systems because it uses a lens of an oppressor-oppressed class. And if you're an oppressed class, who are you oppressed by? Well, in the case of all women being oppressed, who else could they be oppressed by except men? And men are the patriarchy.
I mean, when I think about like feminism and look at today's world, I don't think men are oppressing women and that the system we live in, especially like legally, is patriarchal. I think there's people with patriarchal ideals.
Then why do we need feminism for?
Well, I mean, when I think of feminism, I just think of like encouraging women to pursue what they want to pursue, whether that's like in a professional space,
So why
in a
would we need
domestic space.
So why do we need feminism then?
Because there's a lot of women who maybe feel like they can't, like they should do a certain thing.
And who's the oppressor here? Who's oppressing them into
I'm
believing that?
not saying anyone's the oppressor.
So then feminism to you is just an advocation that women should just do what they want?
Yeah, kind
That's
of.
it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like feminists who say like, oh, we live in such a patriarchy and we're so oppressed. And then there's feminists who say like, who just support women just like pursuing their goals, reaching their fullest potential and being
But you don't
successful
believe
in life.
women should strive for all goals, right? Like,
Well,
you can have bad goals that women shouldn't pursue. You would agree with that.
I mean, when it comes to like me evaluating other people's goals, pursue whatever goal you want to pursue, so long as you're not causing active harm to anyone.
Okay, so you have an active harm principle. So the active harm principle is like, do as thou wilt as long as it harms nobody else.
Yeah.
That's impossible, though, because
Directly.
Yeah, but this is the problem with the harm principle in general. Is that
most people don't have goals that are harming people. Like most women aren't trying to pursue.
Well, I think
goals that
that
are harming
people don't generally set out to harm people, but I think that people can have goals that harm people, whether they set out to
The
do
goals
it or
I'm
not.
talking about are personal and professional goals mostly.
Yeah,
Like this is my life goal. This is what I want to do. This is my purpose.
Would
I
you then
understand.
consider someone who is putting out content that might be racy, that if a 16-year-old boy came across it, it would be harmful to him?
That could harm him. Yeah.
yeah, can harm him.
But I mean, also that like pivots into my whole like beliefs on the sex work debate. I want to stay focused on this.
Well, okay, so I guess I'll try to make it easy for you. So I think patriarchy itself is the stated goal of deconstruction from feminism. I do think that they want to deconstruct the patriarchy, and they're trying to move women into egalitarian positions with men. And that's why the patriarchy has to be deconstructed.
I mean, when I think of feminism, I think of like a broad range of movements. You have like the first wave of feminism, modern feminism.
It's all
and
the
it
same
encompasses
movement.
a lot of like different degrees of beliefs, which is why I wanted to hear more about like the whole Force Doctrine thing.
Well, Force Doctrine is just advocating that men have a monopoly on force. And so since men have a monopoly on force, women are always going to have to appeal to a patriarchal system to enforce their rights. And so no matter what happens, you end up with circularity. Men have the monopoly on force. Women will always have to appeal to men for force. Therefore, it's true feminism and dismantling of patriarchy is never possible because they're always appealing to the patriarchy in order to enforce their rights.
Okay. So, I mean, when I hear you say that, what I immediately think is like you're drawing a sort of legitimacy from the fact that men have greater strength, greater capacity for force and violence. They have the monopoly on force, right?
They do have the legitimacy from your worldview, not mine. But it's your worldview that gives them the legitimacy.
I mean, I'm not the one advocating for Force Doctrine.
Do you believe in God?
Yeah.
Okay, are you
I'm not Christian.
You're not a Christian, so what kind of God do you believe in?
I'm Hindu.
You're Hindu. Like practicing Hindu?
Yes. Why is that so funny?
Well, okay, that's fine.
I'm just curious, like, why you burst out.
So, well, because Hinduism and harm reductionism isn't exactly synonymous, which means that you have a distinction principle here.
I don't, like, draw my political views based on my religion completely. I'm really...
Don't you draw your political views from your morals?
I mean, yeah.
Then where do you get your morals except from your religion?
I mean, I don't get all my morals from religion.
Where do you get them from?
I think there's like some sort of like notion of like objective, like universally understood morals that go beyond religion. I also believe in like separation of like
Well, that's
church
just
and state.
subjective morality. You're just talking about preference. So you get your morals from things you prefer. Like things I prefer are more moral than things
Just
I
like
don't.
how I think people should be treated. Anyways,
Well, that's important. And the reason that that's important, that we're figuring out where you draw your morality from.
I would also say I'm not like super devout to where religion's like heavily.
I understand. So then we got preference. But if it just comes down to preference, then every man's preference is equal to your preference. Everybody's preference is. So why is it not legitimate for men to collectivize and utilize force for the purposes of upping their station in society?
And that's what I was going to touch on. Because when you say like, okay, men have a monopoly on force, women need to appeal to men to gain their rights, it's circular. You're like drawing legitimacy for men from their monopoly on force. And when I see you like kind of equate strength and legitimacy, it's kind of a dangerous slippery slope, because then I think about it this way.
What
I think
other
about it this
legitimacy
way.
is there?
Listen. I think about it this way. When you draw legitimacy from strength, it's like, okay, pedophiles could collectively overpower little children.
That's right.
And then it seems to like almost Force Doctrine to me would seem to justify that. Then you're suddenly justifying every tyrannical invading force throughout history, including Russia invading Ukraine, World War II, Nazism. It's a very
or you're justifying the opposite. You're justifying the overthrowing of the Nazism and justifying the overthrowing of pedophilic cults, or justifying the overthrowing of said evil deed. Force Doctrine would do both. But that doesn't really negate the fact that what you're doing is you're just always appealing to men again for your rights.
So when you talk about how men have a monopoly on force, you're talking about like, okay, men are like physically, biologically stronger.
Well,
because that's like what you mean, right?
Look, I'll defer to the IFBB pro, okay? I'm guessing that physically she's one of the, like, most females are not stronger than the average male.
But you're talking
but you may be. But in comparison to IFBB pro males, she's not.
You're making
most of them are stronger on average, right?
you're pointing to
but what I'm saying is that just on average, and it's not minuscule. Like, no offense, right? But I'm guessing that there's hormone replacement and all sorts of thing that goes on that assists with you being able to really get jacked the way that you are, right? Okay, for sure. So the thing is like, men are also doing that in the IFBB, and they get much stronger. And it's not a slight distinction in strength. You're talking about, you're talking about 50 to 75% strength differential. That is fucking huge. That's like fighting with a gorilla. That's like fighting with a gorilla.
I agree.
From a man's perspective.
I agree. Men are collectively a lot, like biologically, physically stronger.
Much physically stronger than the average woman.
What I was going to say is, like, when you talk about force and you think about today, okay, let's say you have a 5'2" woman who has access to military-grade weaponry and a missile program, and then you have a 180-pound, 6-foot, whatever man, super strong, who just has, like, a handgun. Force today, it can be like remote and can be mechanical and is not purely biological. She could physically, using force, overpower him.
And who's in charge? Who's in charge of all of this industry and builds all of these weapons and uses all of these? Uses all of these weapons and designs all these weapons.
I mean, women are equally capable of being weapons engineers. I think it's more of an intellectual accomplishment.
How come they're not then?
Because I mean, throughout history, women had not been encouraged to enter those kinds of spaces. But like, if you put a woman into that field today and a man into that field, I think they could both be perfectly successful at it.
Let me just ask you a question. Have you ever fired a gun?
No.
Never, right?
I've never fired a gun, no.
No. Are you aware that they actually require a decent amount of physical strength to handle properly?
Sure.
Yeah.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, okay.
And the bigger the gun, the more physical strength is required. And the other problem is that you have to carry lots of ammo. And that requires a lot of physical strength. And you have to carry a bunch of gear to feed yourself. And then you have to carry bulletproof vests that you're wearing so that when you get shot, right, you don't die.
I think if you gave me a gun...
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the problem is, we know this from hundreds of years of military collected data, not just here, but in every nation on planet Earth, that women consistently have to have the standards lowered for them on average so that they can, in any way, shape, or form, keep up with men in those roles. What that tells us collectively is this: they're not as good in them. Men have a huge advantage in all aspects, even including weapons, including drone piloting. They have advantages in just being able to build things quicker. Almost everything about them is designed as the super predator of the earth. Not predatory in the way that they victimize, but predatory in the way that they can quickly kill almost anything they want to with very little resistance from anything that exists. Because of that, I'm sorry, but you're never going to be able to equalize force between a sex that's 50% on average weaker than them, no matter what technological advances you think you're going to make.
But it is the case that in that scenario, a woman could physically, using that kind of force, overpower the man.
It is hypothetically...
If you're talking about the highest grade of
It
military...
could be hypothetically, like, I'm willing to grant that you could have a logical possibility where women have like a fucking, I don't know, dystopian technological future where they invent all of the technology and enforce all of their right through machinery. Okay, I'm willing to grant that. But the thing is like, that's not going to happen. And it's not the case now, and it's not going to be the case in our lifetime or the lifetime of your mom or your mom's mom or even your mom's mom. So right now, at least, the case is that you have to appeal to men for force. And so feminism as a dismantling of patriarchy is not possible because you're appealing to the very thing you're trying to dismantle always to dismantle it.
But it's also interesting because when I think about political movements throughout history in this country that have been super effective, they've done so through social organization, protests, political pressure, cultural influence, things that have nothing to do with force. Because like those are appealing to the government, the people in power. And in those cases, obviously,
and what does the government use?
The government has access to force, but these movements have still been successful.
Because men have allowed them to be. But in places where men don't allow them to be, they're not. Can I give you the entirety of the Middle East and Asia? What happens to your little political movements there?
Well, I'm talking about
what
happened in this
happens
country.
to your little political movements in Afghanistan? Right. Do your little political movements with the holding of the little sign saying, I don't want to wear this really hot fucking burqa in the 100-degree sun, and they come out and cut their fucking head off? How do they do over there? They don't do so good. How come? Mm-hmm. It's because men allow you to keep those signs up. Men allow you to protest. Men are the ones who give the allowance for you to do fucking anything on planet Earth. And my proof is half of planet Earth where men said, no, fuck that. And you know what women can do about it? Nothing. They can't do anything about it.
But in the democratic country we live in, those are valid tools that can
All relying on men allowing you to have a democracy.
Change.
Right. I think you're thinking that women were able to get rights to vote just because of their protest, but no, it's actually because they needed votes since so many men were at war or dying in war. Like women weren't allowed to vote until
I'm
that
also
point
just curious
where they needed votes.
at that point.
Wait, hold on. Let her finish. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, women just weren't allowed to like be educated or vote until like the men decided we need women to enter the economy. We need women to enter the voting pool so we can win more because men are dying in these wars.
See, there's a lot of truth to that with what industrialization did and industrialists did with wanting to get women to have cheaper labor enter into the workforce. But ultimately, the interesting part here is that all of this just proves force doctrine. The truth is that if men collectivize for rights, they can get them because we can kill other men. We have a monopoly on force. We can kill men. We can take our rights. Let me give you the Revolutionary War as an example of this. We don't like our conditions, we fucking kill you and make new conditions. That's what men are capable of doing. In the historic record, when I looked, I never found, not one time, a single instance of women being able to collectivize and use force to take anything from men. Ever. I've never once found it, and I looked hard. I wanted to see if there was even one example. There's not one. Can you think of a single time ever in history, the history that you know about, where women have collectivized and used force to take anything from men?
Not force.
And so if that's the case and men have a monopoly on force, you're always going to have to appeal to them to not use it on you. Because here's the dirty truth, and it's brutal, and I'm sorry, but I'm not going to lie to you. Because I have the standard of half the world to look at, I know that if men collectivize in the West and decide to put women in little cages, there's not a shit they can do about it. So they really have to appeal to the benevolence of men, and all they do is demonize them, and that's fucking crazy to me.
So I mean, again, like when I mentioned earlier how that kind of justifies like any tyrannical invading force, do you think
There's not a justification, it's a descriptive.
The less powerful party in that situation should just appease to the oppressor or the invading force?
The thing is that you're gonna. Well, here's the thing. Let me ask you this: if you have somebody who's larger than you are, right, and can beat you up, do you talk shit to them?
No, not necessarily.
Why not?
So they don't beat me up.
They don't beat you up, right?
But there should still be some kind of...
Hang on. Is that a form of appeasement?
Well, I just distance myself from this person.
So it's not a form of appeasement?
third party
Hang on.
witnessing-
Answer the question I asked first. Is it a form of appeasement when someone's much larger than you, so you don't talk shit to them because you don't want to get beat up? Is that appeasing?
I mean, you're not really doing anything in that
Right. It's
situation.
not appeasement then.
Sure.
So when we're talking about this, it's not appeasement
But if
either.
you bring in a third party in that situation, I think they have a responsibility to call out the person who's...
Well, I
threatening.
think that the case is that if you aggravate the sex who is responsible for your fucking rights and then they take them away, well, that's just like going up to the 6'4" guy as me, right, who's 280 pounds and going, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want. And then when he smashes my face, does it matter if I give him my moral objection? If I'm like, that's really immoral that you just did that, he's going to be, oh, that's nice. They don't give a shit about my moral objection. They're going to beat my fucking head in. And the thing is like, okay, since that's an objective reality, the objective reality here for women is exactly the same. If you decide to continue the agitation of men, if women collectively do that, men are capable of taking everything from women, and the reverse isn't true.
Okay, when I think about what you're saying in the context of the world we live in today, a society that's advanced a lot more than that intellectually is not just this caveman primitive, I beat you up, you listen to me, you appease to me kind of way. Because it's very Stone Age, actually. It's very interesting.
It's funny to me that
it's like this weird appeal to naturalism.
The problem that you have is you have what's called a normalcy bias. See, you were raised in this world, and in this world, the one that you currently live in, it is the case that we're all very civil to each other. We're all very nice, and we're governed by laws, and we're governed by this, and we're governed by that. And if there's a zombie apocalypse tomorrow, the misogynist who's down the road, who's the fucking gun holder with the bunker, you're gonna be bashing on his fucking door, say, "Please let me in. This is fucking crazy. What do I do?" And I don't blame you for that, because I'm going to do the same shit. I'm going to run over and be like, what the fuck do I do, man? There's zombies everywhere. This is fucking crazy. When the curtain goes down. Society right now, the benefits that women have are incredible, and you have no idea how beneficial it is to you, that how good men really are to keep a society like this going. They're extraordinarily benevolent in what they do. It's insane. And to think that, like, we can look at half the world where they are technologically advanced in China. Okay? Yes, they are. I mean, they're almost surpassing us as a superpower. They're super advanced in Japan. They're super advanced in the Middle East and many of the nations. And they go like that, and women have no rights. And so it's like...
Wait, at that point, why do you even gender Force Doctrine? Like, shouldn't you suddenly exclude every, like, disabled, elderly, or frail man and include every super strong, buff woman?
Well, we're talking...
Just make it based on strength at that point.
Yeah. Do you understand, though, what collective force would mean between the sexes? So collective force between sexes actually means something. Like, a 50-year-old man is still very fucking dangerous to a 20-year-old woman who's strong. To a 20-year-old woman who's strong, a 60-year-old man is still a significant threat to them.
I mean, it could be the case that if the
And not only
20-year-old
that-
woman was really strong and he was really frail and like on a wheelchair,
Women get overpowered by their 11-year-old sons. That's how bad it is. It's not a like
a woman could overpower a really old frail man. though.
Yeah, some. But the
Some.
thing is
It's
like
true,
you're talking about based around collective action. And when you're talking about collective action, it doesn't matter how many outliers you point to. Oh, there's a guy over there who's in a wheelchair. Oh, there's a dude over there who can't lift anything. Oh, there's a dude over there who can't use a gun. I agree. Those examples are there, but collective action is usually done uniformly between a collective.
But then in that case, don't you think there's a sort of like injustice within this Force Doctrine idea?
What's the injustice? It's a descriptor.
suddenly-
It's not a prescription. It's
Suddenly, every strong woman doesn't get to be included.
It's woman, not women, not strong women.
Oh my God.
Strong
Wait,
woman.
really quick, just on what Andrew said, I just want to make sure that you understand that. And so
It's a descriptor, not a
descriptive.
prescriptor.
Yeah, I
Andrew's
understand the
not saying
difference.
yes,
I'm not-
we
I'm not-
should. He's not saying yes, we should do this. We should subjugate women. That's not his argument.
I understand
He's
the
just
difference,
saying
yeah.
this is not what should be, not what ought to be.
Yeah, this is okay.
How come those Middle Eastern men in wheelchairs have rights and the strong women in the Middle East don't?
Monopoly on force. But what I would say,
So hang on, collective. The collective still is what matters. So the thing
and that's
is,
an injustice.
justice,
Right?
How do you ground justice? If you don't ground it in God, isn't it just preference?
Like morality,
Yeah,
like
what
moral
is
legitimacy.
justice? Tell me what now listen, I'm not trying to make this a trick question, and I'm going to just caveat this with this. Explaining what justice is, it's like the hardest concept in the world.
Okay, well-
so I'm not going to hold you to this, right? Instead, I'm just going to say, okay, you can try to ground
When
justice.
I'm talking about justice, like when I'm talking about justice in the context of like rights, I think,
You
in
don't-
that case,
you don't have rights. There are no rights. They're made up.
do you not believe in the concept of rights?
No, they're made up. Where do they come from? Point to one.
The government, they're like, okay, I would define
the
rights.
government gives you rights?
In this country, yeah.
Well, no, just period.
Can I define rights?
Yeah.
Protections given to individuals in society.
Oh,
to-
given? They're given to you?
They're legally enforced.
And what makes it a right if it's given to you? It can be taken away.
Yeah, it
And
can
it doesn't
be.
sound like you have a right then. Sounds like you have force. Sounds like somebody uses force in order to collectivize to make sure that you can do or not do something. That's not really a right. That's not like the justice in rights when when you say I have the right to speak. You have the right
Freedom
to speak.
of speech, yeah, that's a right.
Yeah, it's a right. As long as somebody says you have it.
How do you feel about the Constitution?
Hang on. As long as someone says you have it. That's it. That's the only way you have rights. You don't have rights. Rights don't exist. They're concepts. They're made up.
Just
They're-
because something's awarded or given to someone, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Where does it exist? Where does a right exist? Can you point to one? Can you touch it? Can you taste it? Can you smell it?
So if you can't physically or tangibly interact with something, it doesn't exist.
Where does it exist?
Okay, well, like love is a real thing. You can't touch or taste or feel love.
Isn't love just a combination of chemicals in your body that give you a reaction?
I mean,
So that exists,
do you
right?
do you only believe in tangible concepts? That's interesting.
Well, no. I'm looking at your worldview.
Okay,
I'm looking at
I'll
your
ground it in
worldview.
something more like realistic.
Okay, what? What is it grounded in?
If someone tried to like kill you, then they would be arrested because
So
you have the
it's
right.
just grounded in the law, so everything in the Middle East is fine because it's lawful?
I didn't say it was fine.
Okay, well then what is it grounded in?
I'm just talking about like the practical application
Then
of rights.
what
If
is it
someone
grounded
violates
in?
your rights,
Yeah, but what is it grounded in? What do you ground rights in other than you like them?
the law.
So then if you take rights away via the law, that would be justified, right?
No, you shouldn't take rights away.
How do you ground rights in the law? But then if I say, well, I'm going to use the law to take your rights away, the very grounding you're using, that's bad, but the other way it's good? What?
I think we're getting confused here because
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm not, but I mean, like, I think the confusion is going from like you're saying that I have rights because the Constitution says so.
You're right.
It feels like a moral thing to have. Well, who decided that was a moral thing to
Right.
have? Men in charge, and why did they do that? Because it was beneficial to them and their families and their comrades. What is a country? It's just a big tribe.
The
I would say
It's
rights
just-
are awarded
it's
by
very
virtue of being human.
naturalistic.
Right, by
But-
who?
What do you mean?
Well, there's all sorts
Well, I mean,
of people
by
who
the
are...
dog-
By
not
collective
right in the-
society.
And so if collective society decides to take those away, why are they actually being immoral?
Well, collective society would never decide to take them away.
Except
because-
in half the fucking planet, which I can point to right now.
It's because in those
Like all
countries,
third
the
world
men have
countries.
decided this doesn't benefit us anymore.
Yeah,
But
so
if you
tell
break
me,
it
so
down
tell me,
more,
if half,
like it's
if
a
here
concept.
we if I democratically voted or convinced enough people to democratically vote to get rid of democracy, what did I do wrong?
democratically voted to get rid of democracy.
What did I do wrong?
Well, you can vote for whatever you want.
Right, but if I democratically vote to remove democracy and rights from everybody, tell me why that's actually wrong other than, other than your preference.
There could never be a situation in which you can vote in a democracy to remove democracy, could there?
Yes, you could do it right now.
Oh, by voting for Trump?
Yeah. Didn't you? Don't you think he's a tyrant trying to take away your rights? Well, I mean, yeah. So yeah, you can use democracy.
Wait,
And-
don't you like not even believe in like full on democracy? Do you have, like some sort of
but
belief in like
don't
stakeholder
pivot.
democracy?
Don't
I'm just
pivot.
curious.
That's bad faith. So the thing
I
is,
just got distracted.
Let's
That's
move,
not bad
hang on.
faith.
Let's move back to good faith. What do you ground rights in other than your preference? Just things you prefer. What would it actually be grounded in? You can't ground it in the law.
When you say grounded in, what do you mean by that?
Well, so if you say, I'm going to ground my belief in the law, that means that's what the justification is the law. But if you make the justification that the law is what's correct, then if I change the law, then it's still correct.
Are you asking me how should we decide like what rights
No, I'm
we
asking
give to
how you
people?
ground it. The thing in which you create the justification for it existing in the first place. What is the justification for a right other than you prefer that thing?
That people in society should be treated a certain way. And that's not a personal preference. That's a collective preference in this country, for example.
So it's preference.
Sure.
Okay, so then it's preference. So your personal preference right now aligns with most people's preference. Hang on.
But there's
hang on,
it's sort
hang
of
on,
a universal
hang on,
preference.
hang on. I'll let you.
Hang on.
I'll let you do an internal critique back. I promise.
Okay.
If it's the case that your preferences align with other people's preferences, and that creates your justification, then if my preferences align with other people's preferences, we're equally justified, right?
And that's just having different interests within a democracy. Sure.
Well, then if that's the case, then if men collectivize and their preferences outweigh women's and they take all your fucking rights away, tell me what they're actually doing wrong.
Well, that's undemocratic.
Why is that wrong other than your preference, though? It's not, right?
I mean, it's not constitutional.
And the Constitution is a collective of preference?
Yeah, that we, like, yeah.
Yeah. So then, if that's the case, if everything just boils down to what you prefer, then the second men decide to
Well, don't
prefer,
you-
hang on, the second men decide to and prefer to stuff your asses in cages, then they're equally justified.
You keep talking-
Hang on. How
keep
would they
talking this
not be
conversation.
equally justified if they're just using the same standard you are, preference?
Because when you keep attaching personal preference to what I'm saying and thinking, but don't you believe there's some kind of like, I mean, based on like reason, like rationality, like I don't want to use the word objective, but universally we have like, I mean, you could look across
I'm
religions,
using
across
reason.
cultures,
Yeah.
across cultures. There's like universal understandings of maybe people should be treated this way. This thing is the right thing. This thing is the wrong thing. Even like in a secular context.
Can I tell you about a little island off the
I'm
coast?
talking about patterns
called
across.
Papua New Guinea. Let me explain about this little island.
Are we working in
in
exceptions now?
Papua New? Well, okay. I'm just saying. Like, listen. Before I'm not going to bring that up, even though it's hilarious to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to point this out. Your argument is circular. You're saying me and the collective prefer this thing, and that's what makes it justified. And I say, okay, that's
It's
fair.
not even that's not even about preference. It's like universal understandings that benefit
Can
most members of
universal are
society.
universal standards unchanging?
Mostly, I'd say
They're unchanging.
they can change, but like a lot.
Okay, then they're not
universal
unchanging.
understandings are
Hang on,
unchanging.
unchanging means can't change.
I'd say there are plenty that don't change.
Okay,
Like,
can't.
for-
Then I'm
let's
not asking
like,
about
don't kill
do or
people.
don't. I'm
Like a law
asking
that
about
says-
can or can't. Are universal preferences unchanging? That means cannot change.
I would say the most universal preferences can't change.
They can't?
They often don't.
What?
Okay, like let me give you an example. If you have a law that says don't kill people, like throughout history, that law's been enforced. across
Except in
cultures.
Somalia.
Is there a law in Somalia that says you can't?
Yeah,
kill
there's
people?
anarchy. There's no
But
government.
do most countries let
There's
you
no
kill
law.
people?
What? Wait, you said can't. Can't. Can't's a definitive. It means cannot.
Okay, I'm talking about a pattern here, a trend here.
Yeah, I'm talking about a trend here too.
So Somalia is the trend and the pattern? 'Cause it's one country.
No, the trend is just preference.
If you can point to majority of countries and majority of
the majority of
situations-
countries, women have no fucking rights.
do they in most countries?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anything else
Well,
you wanted to add to that?
are-
So the universal preference must be that you don't get
Are
any
in
fucking
those
rights.
in those countries, are they democratic?
No. What do they need
Do you
to be?
think if they suddenly were democratic, then that could change? That in those countries, suddenly women could gain access to
I don't
rights?
know.
If every-
Iraq
I
is
think they
democratic
could.
now, and I don't know
in
about the whole women's rights
I
thing
think
there.
in Afghanistan, if you gave women, if you implemented
If
democracy
who gave
there,
them that? Who?
well, I mean,
Who?
if men suddenly gave women the right
Oh,
to
if
vote,
men suddenly gave women rights, that's crazy.
And they're only really incentivized to do
Whoa.
that when they need their votes.
That's crazy. If men gave women rights, the women could do stuff. I'm fucking razzle-dazzled by this argument.
no
Tell
one
me
ever
more.
said no one ever said men were physically weaker or had less of a monopoly.
Well,
of
I'm
force.
just saying, you're just saying to me that if men happen to give women the right
I've
to
agreed
vote...
with you this whole time that men are stronger and,
No,
and can
but
physically
that's not what we're
overpower
talking
women.
about. We're talking about if men gave women the right to vote right now,
Also, that's a pivot from what I'm saying. Which
it's not. You said if men in Afghanistan suddenly gave women the right to
We're
vote,
talking
then
about-
things would sure change. Yeah, no shit.